Jason, and together, this is the Body Shop. It's going to be a program that we're just beginning, and it's about bodybuilding especially, and also about weightlifting and fitness.
And it's going to be a show that is bi-monthly, and we'll be going over pretty much all exercises for the entire body, but we'll be mostly concentrating on the form for all these exercises.
Neither of us is an expert, but both of us have a couple of solid years of bodybuilding experience.
2 years.
2 years, yeah. And we'd like to share with you that which we have learned through practice and from reading. So,
I guess you could look at it as this is our humanitarian effort towards the world.
or at least a large ego trip for the two of us.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Okay, no. So, perhaps without further ado, today's program is going to deal almost exclusively with the chest, the pectoral muscles. We're going to go through a number of basic exercises, try and give you a number of pointers on form, which is basically the motions that you take, making sure you're making good and proper motions. And teach you what we can about trying to increase the size and strength of your chest.
Yeah. And through these shows, we'll be having special guests coming on every now and then, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, and at the end of today's program, we're going to have a particularly special guest, one that many of you may be familiar with, and that certainly all of you should be familiar with if you are at all interested in the bodybuilding world.
Most definitely.
All right.
Okay, so we'll see you on the other side, and
All right.
start with our chest.
Hello. We are now here to introduce you to the grand idea of warming up. And this is incredibly important to every workout. You always want to make sure that you have got the core temperature of your muscles to a place that is adequate for a workout. Basically what you want to make sure is that you've warmed up properly. That entails stretching out and a little bit of a cardiovascular workout, maybe about 5 minutes. Now you can take care of that by jogging, by doing a lot of jumping jacks,
Stairmaster.
a Stairmaster, a light stride machine, which is basically a treadmill.
Rowing machine.
Yep. Just about anything, really.
Standing on your head.
Really vigorous stretching, to an extent, can take care of it by itself, but some kind of aerobic activity is really a good idea as well. So what Geoffrey's on here is a treadmill machine. Now this is something that you can set to walk, you can set it to take a slow jog, or even a fairly fast run. And you can also incline it so that you're going up a hill, basically. Just increases the intensity of the workout. So what you do is you go for at least 5 minutes. That allows your muscles to get warmed up. The blood will begin flowing through them. We'll raise the core temperature of your muscles a little bit. That's about what you need to do. Now, when you're warming up, you can actually put in an entire aerobic exercise into a weightlifting program if you want to. So for instance, you could take a half-an-hour run and lift weights in the same day. However, if what you want to focus on is developing muscle mass, we suggest doing the aerobic portion of your exercise, the actual aerobic workout, after you've lifted weights. Because you want to make sure that your muscles are strong enough and have enough energy to be able to exert themselves fully when you're lifting weights. It also helps to prevent injury. So let's say that on a given day, you wanted to take a run and lift weights and work on your chest, for instance. We would suggest coming in, spending about 10 minutes stretching, which we'll show you in a minute, and about 5 minutes on something like the Life Stride machine here. And that way you'll be fully warmed up and adequately prepared to go ahead and bodybuild. After the bodybuilding section of your workout, you can come back to the Life Stride machine, take off about 10 minutes, drink some water, stretch out a little bit again, and then take a good half-an-hour run if you wanted to, or use a Stairmaster. But you can, of course, take a run beforehand, but please pay attention to your body, and if you're feeling a little bit too fatigued, don't push the weightlifting too hard. You don't want to injure yourself. You injure yourself and you'll be out for
Who knows how long.
who knows how long. So, Geoffrey likes to take a real nice paced walk, real slow,
Walking down the neighborhood.
loosen himself up.
So basically, when I get done here, I'll be breaking a little sweat, and I know that my body's ready to start the stretching. And
Right. That's
Right.
good. Right.
right.
All right. Well, if you'll bear with us, we're going to step over now and show you a few basic stretches that'll help to prepare your muscles for lifting weights, and then after that, we'll jump into the weightlifting. Stretching out is an incredibly important part of every workout. It's part of your warm-up. And since what we're working on today is the chest, we're just going to show you some stretches for your upper body. Basically what I'm going to do is just demonstrate them while Geoffrey runs off or talks to you.
Yeah, well, continue. So what Jason's going to do is he's going to first stretch out his neck, get that limbered up a little bit, because you're going to be straining it quite a bit when you get over there to be lifting some weights. So when you stretch, you want to stretch that muscle so you feel a deep stretch. Nothing too painful. If it's too painful, then you're going too far. You want to have it a gradual stretch, nothing too quick, and another nice controlled motion. Stretching.
Want to step forward a little?
Prepares.
Show my arms.
Oh, you want to do what?
Show them this.
Oh yeah. Jason right now is warming up his shoulder brackets and getting him limber up because he's going to be doing a lot of movement from there when he gets over there to lifting the weights. Stretching also at the end of your workout helps relieve, will help relieve the muscle pain that will be coming from working out. It also helps limber you up and get you a little bit moving a little better.
And darn it, it's fun.
Yeah. But so Jason's just going to show you a couple exercises for the chest. Get that prepared for heavy weightlifting later on. Okay. What we're going to do here, Jason, I'm going to hold his arm and he's going to pull his body away from me and he's going to feel a nice stretch in his pectoral area.
And I don't know if Geoffrey mentioned this, but you want to hold each stretch for about 15 seconds, even though I'm not doing that right now.
Yeah, 15 to 30 seconds. Just for time consumption now, we're cutting that a little short.
Okay, I generally would suggest stretching out for at least 5 minutes. And you also
10 minutes. I say 10, you say 5.
Oh, okay, 5-10 minutes. There really is no limit to stretching. And you want to make sure that you stretch out your entire body, even if you're just going to work your biceps. Because really, your body is an integral whole, and you need to make sure that it's all limber. So, yeah, I think that's good. That's enough pointers for now.
We're going to see you over at the bench press.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, this is probably the best known of all the chest exercises, and it's just called a flat bench press. And what we've got here is a bar that you will be, well, we'll demonstrate that in a minute, but basically I'll be lying prone on my back and lifting straight up and down. And we've got 185 pounds on here. And I think maybe what we should do first is just go ahead and demonstrate so you can see, and then we'll talk about it after that. Begin talking about form and some of the other terminology.
I'll point out the form to you while Jason's doing it to show you what's the proper way to go about it. I'm going to spot Jason on this, so if he needs help, I'll be there for him, hopefully. Depends on how good he is to me today.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Now watch Jason come down. He's going to come down under control. Press it back up under control. This is the proper form for this exercise. When he comes down, you'll see that his hand placement, so when he comes down to the bottom, he'll have a 90-degree angle at his forearm and elbow. So as Jason starts to struggle a little bit, I'm going to be there for him to help him get it up a little bit. This is called being a spotter. Excuse that. Good job.
Okay.
So the bench basically is the overall best exercise for the chest.
Right. And what I just did was 10 repetitions of the same exercise. And we can consider that my first set. So you generally think of a workout in terms of sets. So let's say that you chose to do 3 exercises in your workout. And the first one was the flat bench press. What I would choose to do is 4 sets of this at 8 to 10 repetitions in each set. Those are 2 pieces of terminology which you'll become familiar with as the show progresses.
And for a beginning bodybuilder, we recommend starting out without having any experience lifting weights before, starting between doing 1 and 2 sets, about twice a week.
And the way to determine if the weight that you're using is right for you is this. You start off with a really light weight just to warm up with it. After that, with a spotter, put on a weight that you can push up at least 12 times if you're a novice. At that point, you'll know that you can do about 8 to 12 repetitions and it won't be too heavy for you. And always tailor a weight to your own needs. Don't pay attention to what other people are doing in terms of weight.
Yeah. It's not how much weight you lift, it's the form that counts and the quality of the exercise. So with that, I'll jump in here. We're going to take some weight off first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
there are many different ways to create a workout for yourself. One possibility is rather than doing 8 to 12 repetitions, which will hopefully begin to develop muscle mass, what you can do instead is try to do, let's say, 20 to 30 repetitions. And in that case, you'd be using a very light weight, something like what Geoffrey has on here now. He can probably push this up 20 times if he wants to.
No problem.
So you'll be doing a lot more repetitions, and you'll still be developing muscle tissue and muscle growth, but in a different way than you would be with heavy weights. So, Jeff? Now, as a spotter, you can both help somebody off with the weights, and you can help them to bring it back up. So you want to? Yeah. No, Jeff's got it himself. All right, Jeff. Now, if you'll notice, Geoffrey, even more so than myself, has a very controlled downward motion. There are some fitness experts who suggest that when you are bringing the weight down, you breathe in, you inhale, and as you're pushing it back up, you exhale. Some people would suggest that you take about a 4 count to bring a weight down and take about a 2 count to push it back up. That's not necessary at all, but inherent in that suggestion is that you're definitely controlling the weight as it comes down so that you don't bounce it off your chest. If you're bouncing it off your chest, you're probably using a weight that's too heavy for yourself. You don't want to do that.
Always keep it under control. It's the quality of the exercise and not the quantity. You want to do another set?
Yeah, I'll do another set. Okay, Jeff?
Lift off?
Yeah, I'll take a lift off. 1, 2, 3.
Another good idea, you have a mind muscle when you're concentrating visually in your head on the muscle that you're working. Helps you focus a lot better. Come on, Jason, let's go. So what is it? One more. Nice, good job.
And another set for you.
I'll stay here.
Okay.
Oh, take a lift off on that.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Come on, Jeff. One more, come on.
So we each did 2 sets of bench press.
Right. And the things to keep in mind that we mentioned before are that you always want to make sure that you've stretched out the muscle before you're lifting and that you're properly warmed up. You want to make sure that your body is fully hydrated, plenty of water. Then with regard to the exercise itself, keep in mind the form is most important and the breathing is a part of the form. So always make sure that your breathing is controlled but relaxed and that you're always breathing the entire time.
And always concentrate on what you're doing. Don't let your mind wander. Really concentrate on the muscle that you're working.
Unless you're spotting for Geoffrey and then you can just kind of wander.
Sure, you can do whatever you want.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So on to the next section.
So we'll go meet you over at incline dumbbell press.
Exactly. Hello, devoted viewers. Geoffrey and I are now here on the incline bench press. And you can't see this, but we have a little block underneath the bench itself to incline it even further. And we're going to be using dumbbells, which is not really supposed to be a reference to us, although it might be.
This is a dumbbell.
This is a dumbbell, and that's questionable. So,
Yeah.
Jeffrey is going to start off by doing a warm-up set, which is important to do with every single exercise that you do. So he's just got 10-pound dumbbells here, and he's going to go through the motions, the form, exactly as he would be if he had heavier weight to work with, but all he's doing is getting his muscles stretched out and used to the feel of the exercise.
And then also pumping a little blood into the muscle. That's important too. I'm going to do about 15 of these.
Which is as high as you can count after 2 years of weightlifting.
I've gotten progressive.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Is that 15 yet?
It's more than 10, so it'll do.
Okay. Alright.
All right. And, hey Jeff, remember not to
Oh yeah.
drop the weights or we'll shake our mic.
That's right. It's one of the rules that we have here.
Okay.
Lifting weights.
So Jeffrey is now going to.
Wait a minute, you can't get out of it that easy, bud.
Oh, what?
You gotta get in there and do yours.
Oh, all right. I'll start.
You see how he tries to finagle his way out of these situations? Too smart for the guy, though. I know him too well. Okay, Jason's gonna do about 60 pounds here. And he does about between 8 and 10 repetitions. Now if I can help you. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I just gave him a little set spot. He's coming down nice and controlled, and he presses it back up with a lot of force. And it's really important to come down so you have a 90-degree angle here. Okay, Jason, let's go. Squeeze it up. Another one. Okay. Enjoy. Now, I'm not going to do as much weight as Jason just for the fact that this isn't my chest day, but it's a respectable weight. You agree?
Oh, yes. All right, and Jeffrey will be demonstrating 12 of these for us. One thing that Jeff helped me with right at the end of my last set was the very last time that I brought the weights down before setting them on the ground. I brought them down a bit slower than I did on all the other ones. And what that is called is a negative repetition. And what you're doing is increasing the resistance of the weight by bringing it down as slowly as you can. It's good for building mass, and it's not a bad idea to do at the end of each set, although not at all necessary. How many is that, Jeff?
That's 12.
Once again, I'm paying attention.
You do another set?
Yes, I will. What do we recommend in between sets? It depends. If let's say you're going on a light workout, how many?
On a light workout between 12 to 15 repetitions, I always like to take at least 1 minute rest or less
In between each set.
in between each set.
Now what I'm doing is about a medium weight workout, which is usually about 8 to 10 repetitions. And it's probably a good idea to take off about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes in between each set.
Yeah.
If you're going really heavy, pushing up a weight maybe 2 to 5 times,
Or 6 to 8 times.
yeah, you would probably need to take at least 2 minutes in between each set. You need your muscles to recuperate a little bit, but you want to keep the pump. You want to keep the blood in there. That feeling of kind of a sort of taut, stretched feeling. You don't want to let that dissipate before doing another set. So,
Right.
okay.
I guess we should also say that doing the incline dumbbell press or incline bench press, you're working the upper part of your chest.
Right.
All right, Jason, let's do it.
1, 2, 3. Okay. You got it.
As you notice, his arms are sticking straight out from the sides of his chest. You don't want to have your arms too far forward. Too far forward to be using more of your tricep for the exercise. And you don't want it. You don't want that. Come on, Jason. Nice. One. Okay, one more set.
One of the things that I was saying earlier about making sure that your breathing is steady is that if you notice that you're holding your breath in and pushing really hard, that's probably another indication that the weight is too heavy for you at that moment. And you can either compensate by that with a spotter, by decreasing the weight, or by just simply setting the weights down. How many is this, Jeff?
5.
One more, Jeff.
Now at the beginning of your workout, if you're just starting using weights, you might feel a little wobbly at first doing the exercise. That will pass as your supporting muscles around that major muscle group that you're working to strengthen, and you'll become much more stable as you continue on.
One thing we'd like to introduce to you in this show is, as shows go by, we may begin to talk about more sophisticated concepts and get a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I think for our first show, our intention is just to show you a way that you can go through one daily workout. In future programs, we may begin to discuss workout programs for people who want to become serious bodybuilders or just people who want to get into a little bit better shape. But for our first show at least, we're going to try and keep things fairly simple and just give you a basic visual and a little bit of a verbal introduction to bodybuilding.
Because we don't actually understand those complex
Right, so we
thought
need to learn
processes,
about them.
so we have to learn ourselves.
Weeks to come.
Yeah, just kidding. That's it for this, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to go to the decline dumbbell press, and that's going to work the lower part of the chest. Okay, we're here at the decline bench. Like I said before, this is going to work the lower part of your chest. Same form, you bring it down under control, press it back up. You want to raise the weights just so they come right up above the lower part of your chest.
No real option.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So, see, Jason just so-called dropped the weights, and he'll have a couple of demerits now. But that's okay. Okay, I'm going to jump in there and do a set.
One thing that I'm going to ask Geoffrey to demonstrate for us is another technique you can use while you're lifting. And if you'll notice, each time that we've been using the dumbbells, when we bring them up to their apex, to the top, what we're doing then is touching them together. And unless you're really careful, your muscles will slightly ease up. The tension will dissipate a little bit. And a way to counter that is to bring the weights only about 3/4 of the way up. And that way, you've got your muscles tightened the entire time. You're always exerting pressure. And the workout will be a little bit harder. You'll do fewer sets, but it will be a little bit more strenuous. So, if I can induce Geoffrey to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so he starts off with them at the top together, brings them down, and now brings them up about 3/4 of the way. So you see they don't quite touch, and his muscles are contracted the entire time.
It creates a lot more intensity.
Okay, Jeff. Oh, and he sets them down much
Very
more gently than
gently.
I.
But you can't get out of that. But it just goes to show that I have a lot more control than my partner here. Actually, I'm trying to be nice. So Jason's going to do another set. Same weight?
Same way. But yeah, that's one thing. Why don't you introduce him to the idea of like progressive overload, even though we're not doing it?
Okay. Basically, the premise when you're bodybuilding or weightlifting is to increase a term called progressive overload. Basically, you want to stress the muscle, and to do that, you have to increase the weight each set, whether that be 2.5 pounds or 5 pounds. So normally, Jason did his first set at 55 pounds. He would then go to 60 pounds on his second set, but theoretically, that's what you should be doing now, but that's okay. That's called progressive overload. You always want to always try to do more than what you did the last time, whether that's in repetitions or in weight. Okay?
Jason now is doing a negative repetition. Coming down much slower than he normally did through the rest of the set. So Jason's a little lightheaded now. He's gonna go over there and take a little break.
Take a little nap.
Take a little nappy.
Okay, Jeff.
All right, one more set for me.
We'll be filming next week's program in Paris. We just need to find a corporate sponsor who's willing to send us there, so
I'm working on it.
Jeff's working on it.
Okay. I'm going to do a regular full range of motion here.
Another idea that might be nice to introduce you to is this. When you're lifting, your stomach muscles will almost always be contracted because they're providing support for the rest of your body. But it's good to try and keep all of the rest of your muscles that's possible at rest. That way you can focus specifically on the muscles that you're trying to work. And if you find that a lot of your other muscles are clenching up really tight, you may once again be using a weight that's a little bit too heavy for you. So, well, Jeff, how's that for
I
deep?
gotta pull myself together here.
Okay, so we've showed you flat bench, bench press, and we've showed you the incline and decline dumbbell press.
And next we're gonna go take you to the pec deck, which is
Yeah, we're not going to do flies.
that's a type of fly. Pec deck is a fly.
Okay, something new for me.
And Jason doesn't know about this part of the program. It's a secret. So we'll see you over there.
Okay, we're here at the pec deck on a universal machine, and we dispatched with Geoffrey. Men in white coats had to come and take him away. So I'll be finishing off this afternoon's program. This is a good way to both stretch your chest muscles and make them bigger and stronger. It's called the pec deck. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate for you. There's not much to it. You want to have your hands. Geoffrey's back behind the camera making fun of me right now, just so that you know. You want to have your hands over the pads, but not gripping them. But you can curl your fingers slightly over them. And just go ahead and squeeze in with your chest. One thing that you want to do is, as with most exercises when you're using a machine, is squeeze it together and hold it for about a second and then release. And the system works on a pulley system, and so there are a stack of weights that are attached to the pulley. And what you want to make sure that you're doing as you lift is that you don't want to drop the weights back on top of each other. So you make sure that your muscles are contracted the entire time by keeping the weights always raised just a little bit off of the stack. So now our other elegant and eloquent host, Geoffrey, will step in and do his set.
Right. When I'm training somebody and they touch the weights together, I don't count that repetition. So, you know, the more you do with me, you're going to work hard. How much weight do you have on here?
70 pounds.
75 pounds? Okay. Okay, basically, this exercise works the middle of the chest, okay? It's also going to work your shoulder, your front deltoid, but exclusively it's going to work the middle of the chest. And I'll just do a couple reps here. Oh, great. Oh, thank you, Jason. Basically, I'm trying to concentrate on squeezing with most of the pressure on my elbows. I feel I get a much better contraction when I do that. For you, it might be a little different, but keep your back against the pad.
Geoffrey, is that blood trickling out of your ear something to be concerned with?
Well, not yet. When it starts coming out of my mouth and nose, that's when you can call the paramedics. Okay, you gonna do about 190 pounds now? All right, you're on it. basically, if you want a little cleavage, so to speak, this is the exercise for that. Now, how much do you have on there? 85. Use osmosis here. You're 85? Okay. I'm going to do about 10 reps. Wonderful. As you notice, I'm wearing gloves. These help protect my hands a little bit. There's a little padding here, and it helps protect the hands from the weight. Helps you preventing from getting calluses if you care about that type of thing. Jason doesn't, because he doesn't wear gloves. Come here, Jason. Let's show them what it looks like without gloves. Just put your hands up. See? Big difference. Now, if you were to have a close-up of Jason's hands,
gloves make your hands smell really bad, though.
100%.
100% stench.
Yeah, well, but you can always wash your hands.
You can, if you're inclined towards that kind of behavior. So, this is the last exercise that we intended on showing you today.
Yeah, that's we did the bench press, incline press, which is for
Top of
upper
your
chest, top of your chest. We did declines, which is lower chest, and we did flies. Deck flies for the middle of the chest.
Precisely. There are many other exercises you can do. You can, of course, do push-ups. You can do push-ups with someone lying across your back if you're strong enough to. You can do regular flies, which is lying on a bench and bringing the weights out to your side like this.
Just like that.
Just like that. And then there are also other machines. The universal machine also has a bench press on it, and many other people's pieces of home fitness equipment will have various devices that you can use.
And what we'll do in one of our shows, we'll go through all the different exercises that you can do on a universal machine, so you become familiar with those as well.
But today is this is just one possible workout that you could use for yourself to work on your chest. It's a good idea to begin interchanging some of the exercises that we have shown you here
Switching
today.
them up?
Yeah, the order of them.
In the order of them,
and as you
sure.
begin to get stronger and a little bit more confident, and as you begin to develop good form, then you can begin to increase the number of sets that you do each time.
Right. So if you say after 6 to 8 months, you've been doing this steadily for twice a week, working one body part twice a week,
Or once a week to
or
start
once
with.
a week. After 6 to 8 months,
You'll begin to look as funny as we do.
and you can increase your sets to about 3 sets per body part.
Right.
So
So,
we have a nutrition.
we do have a nutritionist. As a matter of fact,
What is it called?
she's a registered dietitian. Yes,
yeah.
her name is Laura Impero Frombach,
very
and she
good.
works here at the Whatcom Family YMCA. And we'll be introducing you to her in just a moment. And Geoffrey will be providing her with some questions, and she's got some wonderful answers for us about diet and bodybuilding.
Yes. So
Yes. And then at the very end of the show, we'll have that special guest for you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we'll see you at the interview.
We'll see you there. Hey, one of our special guests is Laura Imperial Frombach. She's a registered dietitian from, I guess, through the YMCA. Yes?
Well, I have my own business, and I also work part-time at the YMCA.
Okay, at the Whatcom Family YMCA. And today we're going to be asking Laura questions about nutrition for a novice bodybuilder. And of course, we know that carbohydrates, protein, and fat all comprise our diet for everyone.
Correct.
But for a novice bodybuilder, they have to be a little bit more specific. And so my question to you is, what percentages of carbohydrates, protein, and fat should comprise a novice bodybuilder's diet?
Okay, well, let me kind of start with some general recommendations and work into specifically weightlifters and whatnot. Most of the national health organizations recommend that about 60 to 70% of our total calories come from carbohydrates, about 12 to 15% from protein sources, and then the fat is a little bit questionable. Most of them say below 30%, but I think we're seeing more and more the shift to less than 25% of the total calories coming from fat sources. So let me kind of back up and talk about each one of those so that everybody gets a better understanding of what we're talking about. For folks that are active, and of course that includes weightlifters and bodybuilders, what they need more of is calories, because they are expending more energy than a person that is sedentary and not doing anything active. So really what we want to be concerned about is making sure that those active people get enough calories to do the activity that they would like to do. And if you're going to choose from those three sources, and again, those are the three sources where we get calories, the ideal choice would be carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are your body's preferred source of fuel. So if we had all three sources coming into our body that we ingest, carbohydrates would be what your body would like to choose. But the problem is that we store carbohydrates in a form called glycogen, and most of it is in our muscles. We have some in our liver, and we store a very minimal amount. And so if you want to make sure that you have the energy to do what you need to do, you need to replace those stores on a daily basis. And that's why most of the emphasis is on carbohydrates. And that's why you want the bulk of your calories coming from carbohydrate sources. So you can replenish those stores, because as you exercise, you of course are going to pull upon those stores and use them as energy. So 60 to 70% carbohydrates is a great place to be. Now the protein, it's recommended 12 to 15%. And the one thing that I want to say about protein is for the average American, we eat above and beyond the amount of protein that's needed for
From red meats?
Just in general. A lack of protein or a protein deficiency is not common in the United States at all. We just don't see it. And so again, we're saying for the average person, 12 to 15%. Now, recent studies have shown that endurance athletes and weightlifters need more than the average sedentary person because of the activity that they're doing. But what's interesting is they say, if you read different recommendations, if you kind of move away from the percentages, the recommendations that are out there is about 1 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight for each day. And interestingly enough, that coincides with the 12 to 15%. So a suggestion would be for a weightlifter, bodybuilder with that type of activity, along with an endurance athlete, if you consume within that 12 to 15% range, you will be doing okay. And for most people, again, because we get protein almost everywhere. It's real easy to get, and so we can consume that pretty easily in our daily diet. Now, the last category is fat, and I think that's the one that most people are real familiar with.
Too much of that,
we're still way above. I think the last statistic was about the average American is consuming about 35% of their calories from fat.
That's a lot of fat.
And it used to be at 37, so we're moving down, but it's slow. And I think anybody that's done any kind of activity realizes that cutting back on the fat is one of the key components in making your diet healthier and to enable your body to perform to the best that it's capable. I see people on a one-on-one basis, and usually that's the place that we start. If they're talking about a healthy diet or coinciding their diet with some sort of exercise program. So anyways, we want to just cut back on those fatty foods, and again, this is the area that most people are very aware of. They know where the fatty foods are coming from, and I think, the 30% is a good goal, but I think 25% of the total calories each day coming from fat is a better goal. So those are the three areas that we get, and that's how they kind of match up with somebody that...
Now, what about protein for a person who is a vegetarian? What's a good source of protein?
Well, there's different categories of vegetarianism. If a person is a lacto-ovo vegetarian, they are people that stay away from meat products, but they consume dairy products and eggs. And most vegetarians fall into that category in some fashion. The stricter vegetarians, we see fewer and fewer people that actually fall into those type of vegetarian categories. But if you're consuming the dairy products and the eggs, it's real easy to do. First of all, you've got the eggs, and you've got all those kind of dairy products, the yogurt, the cottage cheese, the milk, frozen yogurt, those type of things. And what's real interesting, and it's kind of great that we've come this far with the food industry, is that all those products are now available in the low-fat or the non-fat version. And so you can consume those dairy products and get all the nutrition and all the protein that you want, that you're striving to get from them, but without all the extra added fat.
Right.
And the other category of protein source is non-animal sources. And those are things typically like grains and breads and legumes, your bean family.
Tofu fit in there?
Oh yeah, tofu would fit in there. Seeds, nuts, those type of things all give us protein. And we used to be a little stricter about how we would put those protein sources together, because the big concern was, well, we wanted a complete protein so that it would work the best in our body. And of course, animal sources of protein are complete protein.
Right.
And there's several ways. The three most common ways to put them together are putting together like a grain with a dairy or dairy product. And we do this all the time, like cereal and milk.
Okay.
You know, you put skim milk over your cereal in the morning, there's a complete protein. Or something like pasta and cheese, macaroni and cheese, something like that. So that would make a complete protein. Other ways to do it is to combine a grain with a legume family, most commonly a bean. So these are things like rice and beans or tortillas and beans. A lot of our Mexican food that we eat fall into that category, and I find that a lot of people do eat that way on a real regular basis. And another real easy way of doing it is hooking up a grain, actually a bean or a legume with seeds. So if you've ever had hummus, it's
terrible.
Oh, it is good. I've got a good recipe for you.
No, thank you.
But it's garbanzo beans and it's got the sesame seeds in there.
Right.
So there's the combination being formed. Also something like tofu with sesame seeds, that type of thing. And one other thing I wanted to say about that is that it used to be thought that when you wanted to complement those proteins, that they had to be done at the same meal, and that's not so. You can get up and have beans in the morning. Not a lot of people do, but you could, and then turn around and have rice for dinner.
Okay.
And your body does the work. So as long as it's within a day's span, it will hook those proteins up, break them down to the amino acids, and then put them together as needed.
Okay, now a complete protein is the 8 essential amino acids and the non-essential amino acids. Those combined make the complete protein.
Right. When we talk about complete protein sources from food, that means that they have the 8 essential.
Okay.
We have the non-essentials. We have the capability of making those inside of us. So what we're concerned about is getting those 8 in there, so that your body again can break them down and put them together any way that they see fit.
Okay, because the amino acids are the building blocks of protein.
Correct.
And that's what a bodybuilder needs most to build muscle.
Well, yes and no. What research has found is that adequate protein is essential for all bodily functions, okay? And one of the major functions of protein is growth and repair and whatnot. But it's been found that especially with bodybuilders, it is extra protein, and now I'm talking about extra, I'm not talking about adequate. The extra protein won't really make more muscle, okay? It goes back to the whole idea of exercising more to build the muscle. Now, if a person doesn't have an adequate supply of protein, so they're depleted in some fashion, then the extra protein is going to help them. But again, it kind of goes back to what I said at the start. Most people are getting adequate protein.
So it's basically trying to find that balance, and it's individual for each person.
Right. And just like the percentages too, you know, they're guidelines, and people are going to, find their individual needs and whatnot, and change how that all falls. But I think, the most important thing is to make sure that you're eating a good portion of your food from carbohydrates, cut back on those fat, and make sure you're getting enough protein.
Great. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome.
Laura Imperial Fromba from the Watkins Family YMCA. Thank you again. And we'll be on our show next week? In 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think so.
Think so? This is a special portion of our show. This is where we get to introduce Yolanda Hughes, our very special guest.
Yep, our most noted guest.
Noted she is. Duly noted. Yolanda has been competing in bodybuilding for 14 years, and last year she competed or ranked number 8 in the world at Miss Olympia.
Yeah,
Wow,
I plan on doing better this year.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Well, thanks for being on our show today, by the way.
Well, thanks for having me, Jason.
Yeah.
It was awfully nice of you.
Well, it's the least we could do.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Question was that? No, it was about bodybuilding and how you got started.
Well, I got started, it was kind of by accident, really, because I was born in Western Kentucky, running track there, and I had been a gymnast before that, started taking gymnastics when I was like 9 years old. And I was practicing gymnastics, and the guy who was a promoter of a show came in, saw me, asked me if I would be interested in competing in a show, and I told him that I didn't know what I was doing, so I went down to the gym, trained for like 4 weeks, and did what I thought was a diet, and went in the contest and placed second, and got the best poser award. So I was like, yeah, that's not too bad, you know, for not knowing what I was doing.
Right.
So I've been at it ever since.
So you're natural.
I wish you could say that.
And you and I were just talking before we started filming. We were talking about all your travel experiences. And you said that you've been to Germany, throughout Europe,
Yes.
competed there,
Yes.
and then have competed in the United States, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sport has allowed me to travel throughout the world. Like you were saying, I've been to Germany. I even lived there for 8 years, toured throughout Germany, doing guest appearances and seminars. Also to Spain and Italy, Czechoslovakia, China. Went there for about 4 weeks on tour. And it was really a learning experience, especially going to China. That was very, very different.
Wow.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. The people, they were just totally taken, you know.
Yeah.
Women with big muscles.
I bet, yes. Yeah.
So it was exciting.
Great. Were there many female bodybuilders in China?
We met a total of maybe 3 female bodybuilders, and they would pretty much be categorized here as fitness. Yeah,
Right.
they were pretty lean, didn't
Yeah.
have a whole lot of density in the muscle. Yeah, so
Well, this is what we've all been waiting for. Do a couple poses for us?
oh sure.
All right.
Great.
What next?
Oh, that's great. That's perfect. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Very nice.
Excellent. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Maybe
Yep.
give us a couple lessons, so like when we get to that part of our show, sometime in the future, we just have you on our show. Just do
Sure.
it for us.
That's it. This is it.
Love to help you.
It's our last episode. We have one final question for you then. We were wondering if you could share any anecdotes with us from bodybuilding years that you've been.
Well, I can remember once when I was on stage, I had on a buckskin bikini, and it was obviously, I tied it too tight, and I went to do a back pose, and the string just went pop. So I didn't really get to finish my posing routine, so I just held on to my top and just kind of danced off stage,
Yeah.
which the people thought was pretty funny. So, but that was just one thing that happened.
Yeah. What country? What city?
That was in, I do believe it was in New Jersey, I believe.
New Jersey. That's the East Coast.
Yeah.
Good, Jeff.
Very good. Thank you.
Geography and weightlifting can go together. So, you will be competing again then this year in the Miss Olympia contest,
Yes.
and that's in.
September, the first
September.
weekend in September.
And we'd
In
like
Atlanta.
to wish you the best.
Yes.
of luck. Yeah,
Best of
Thank
luck
you.
to you.
Thank you.
definitely. And we'll let all the viewers know when it's going to be aired on TV. So.
Yeah, and we'll
Keep an eye out for me.
we'll get a hold of you afterwards too, and we'll let everybody know how you did.
All right, thanks.
It's been wonderful having you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
But excellent. Thanks,
Thanks,
Yolanda.
Jess.
Well, we've made it to the end of our show, and we'd like to thank all of you who watched the show in its entirety for doing such.
And we'll have upcoming shows in the near future. We'd like to thank Yolanda Hughes for
Flexing.
yeah,
And being on the show.
And being on the show. Laura Imperial Frauenbach for the nutrition tip of the week. And from us to you, what are you going to say there?
Let's flex.
No, let's not.
Okay, let's not flex.
That'll come later.
That'll come later.
But thanks for watching, and tune us in on our next show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.